Let me describe something that has probably happened to you at least once. January 1st, new year, new financial start. You sit down with a spreadsheet, or a notebook, or a budgeting app someone recommended, and you build the budget. You are thorough. You are motivated. You categorize every expense, set limits for every category, and feel the genuine satisfaction of someone who has finally, this time, got their finances under control. The numbers feel right. The plan feels right. This is going to be the year. By February 14th, Valentine's Day, the budget is gone. Not ceremonially abandoned, just quietly stopped. The spreadsheet is still open in a tab somewhere. You just stopped updating it sometime around the third week of January when life arrived, and the budget had no mechanism for handling it. This has not happened to you once. It has happened to you 4 times. I want to introduce you to the Carter family. David and Naomi Carter are 39 years old. They have built 4 budgets in the last 6 years. They have quit all 4. Not from a lack of trying. David is an engineer, methodical and detail-oriented by nature and by training. Not from a lack of motivation. Naomi is deeply convicted about their financial future and genuinely wants to build something solid. They quit because nobody ever told them why budgets fail. And budgets almost never fail because of a discipline problem. They fail because of a design problem. The average budget is built the wrong way, for the wrong reason, with the wrong structure, and with no room for the reality of actual household life. By the end of this video, the Carters, and everyone watching who has the tab still open, will have a budget built differently, built to last. Here is the scale of the budget failure problem, because David and Naomi Carter are not unusual. They are the overwhelming majority. Research shows that approximately 74% of Americans live without a formal written budget. Not 74% who tried and failed. 74% who have never consistently maintained one across a full year. Among the 26% who do budget consistently, most started and restarted multiple times before the habit finally took hold. Budget failure is not a character flaw in the Carter family. It is the default outcome of the way most budgets are built. Here is the data point that makes the failure cost tangible. Households with a written budget they maintain consistently save approximately 18% more annually than comparable households at the same income level without one. Not because the budget creates money from nothing, because intentionality applied to the same income consistently produces dramatically different outcomes over time. The Carters earn $88,000 combined. An 18% improvement in their savings rate represents $15,840 per year directed intentionally rather than spent reactively. Over 10 years at modest investment returns, that difference compounds to approximately $230,000. The budget did not create $230,000. The intentionality did. The budget was the tool that created the intentionality. And the 4 budgets that failed the Carters were not wrong because budgeting is hard. They were wrong because they were designed to fail. Most budgets are built as restriction documents. They are motivated by guilt, structured as punishment, and designed around aspirational numbers that have no relationship to how the household actually spends. Nobody sustains punishment voluntarily. The budget fails, not because the Carters lack discipline, but because the design makes failure the inevitable outcome. In this video, I am going to show you 4 things. Why the budgets you have tried before failed. The specific design flaws that make most budgets unsustainable before the first month is complete. The biblical framework for a budget that empowers rather than restricts. The Faithful Builder Budget, a 5-category system designed specifically for Christian families that integrates stewardship, debt freedom, and wealth creation into a single structure that serves all 4 channel pillars simultaneously. And how to build yours, specifically practically this week. By the end of this video, the Carters will have a 5th budget. This one will not be abandoned on Valentine's Day. Not because David became more disciplined or Naomi became more motivated. Because the design is fundamentally different from the 4 that came before it. The reason your previous budgets failed is specific and fixable. Once you understand the design flaw, you cannot unknowingly repeat it. Budget failure has 4 specific causes. Most people experience all 4 simultaneously without ever having them named. Not because 1, the budget was built on ideal spending rather than actual spending. Most people build their first budget by deciding what they should spend in each category, not what they actually spend. The grocery budget is set at $400 per month because that feels reasonable and responsible. The actual grocery spending for the last 3 months averaged $680. The budget fails within 2 weeks because reality collides with aspiration, and aspiration loses every time. The fix is simple but uncomfortable. Before building a budget, look at 3 months of actual bank statements and credit card statements. Find the real numbers, not what you think you spend, what you actually spent. Build the budget from there. The first version of a real budget is almost always slightly shocking. That shock is not a reason to soften the numbers. It is information you needed before you could build a plan that works. Cause 2. The budget had no category for imperfect months. Life does not arrive in equal monthly installments. Car registrations, school fees, holiday spending, medical copays, quarterly insurance payments, these are not emergencies. They are predictable irregularities that arrive at specific times of year. Most budgets have no mechanism for handling them. When they arrive, the budget breaks. The fix is a sinking fund, a small monthly contribution to a separate account designated for irregular but predictable expenses. $50 per month toward a car maintenance fund, $30 per month toward holiday spending. These amounts are modest. Their absence creates large holes that destroy the entire structure every time the predictable irregular expense arrives. Cause 3. The budget gave no autonomous spending to either partner. When a couple shares a budget with no personal discretionary allocation for each person, every purchase becomes a negotiation or a justification. Every coffee, every book, every small personal expenditure triggers either a conversation or a guilt response. This level of financial monitoring is unsustainable and actively creates resentment between partners who otherwise share the same values and the same goals. The fix is a personal spending allowance for each partner, a modest monthly amount that each person spends freely with no accountability to the other. Even $75 each per month. The freedom this single allocation creates makes the discipline in every other category significantly more sustainable. Cause 4. The budget had no biblical framework. A budget built purely as a financial management tool has no deeper meaning attached to it. When motivation drops, and motivation always drops for everyone without exception, there is nothing beneath the structure to hold it in place. The budget becomes a chore. Then it becomes a skipped chore. Then it becomes the tab that stays open but never gets updated. A budget built on the understanding that you are a steward of God's resources, that every category reflects a deliberate decision about what He entrusted to you, has a foundation that financial motivation alone cannot provide. Maintaining it becomes an act of faithfulness. That depth is what the Carters' previous 4 budgets were missing. David and Naomi's 4 budgets failed for all 4 of these reasons simultaneously. The first was built on December optimism rather than November actuals. The second had no sinking fund when the school fees arrived in September. The third had no personal allowances and became a negotiation that drained both partners. The fourth had no framework deeper than financial discipline, which evaporated by Valentine's Day. The fifth will not fail, because every design flaw is addressed before the first month begins. The design flaws are named. The Faithful Builder budget addresses every single one, with a 5-category structure that is biblical, practical, and built for real Christian families. Before building the budget, understand why Jesus considered financial planning not just practical but spiritually important. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you. Luke 14:28-29. Jesus described the act of counting the cost before committing to build as the behavior of a responsible, wise person. The person who lays a foundation without first counting the cost is not brave or bold or faith-filled in this passage. They are the subject of ridicule. They started something they could not finish because they refused to plan. A budget is counting the cost. It is sitting down with your household's resources and deciding deliberately where every dollar goes, before it goes anywhere. It is Luke 14:28 applied to your monthly income. Most people do not budget because they are afraid of what they will find. The numbers feel safer when they remain vague. The spending feels less problematic when it has not been added up, But the unexamined budget is the foundation laid without counting the cost. And it produces the same outcome Jesus described, a structure that cannot be completed because the resources were not managed with intention. Know well the condition of your flocks and give attention to your herds. Proverbs 27:23. The person in Proverbs who knows the condition of their flocks is not an anxious micromanager. They are a faithful steward who pays attention, who looks at the real numbers, who does not allow comfortable ignorance of their own financial situation to masquerade as trust. The budget is how you know the condition of your flocks. It is the tool that gives you honest, a real-time visibility into what God entrusted to your household. Without it, you are managing your stewardship in the dark, which is not trust, it is negligence dressed as peace. The budget is not a secular financial tool with a Bible verse attached. It is the natural, direct, practical expression of biblical stewardship applied to the resources of a modern household. The Carters do not need a financial app built on guilt. They need a framework rooted in the same scripture that has been describing faithful financial management for 3,000 years. And here is that framework. The biblical framework is the foundation. Now let me show you the 5-category structure that makes the faithful builder budget different from every budget the Carters have tried before. 5 categories, every dollar assigned, no guilt, no restriction, just intentionality applied to stewardship. Category 1. Provision, 50%. Everything your household needs to function. Housing payments, food, utilities, transport, insurance premiums, minimum debt payments, childcare. These are not negotiable expenses. They are the 1 Timothy 5:8 category. Provision for your household first, as Scripture establishes. If this category exceeds 50% of your take-home income, which it does for many households, this is the most important number in your entire financial picture. Housing costs above 30% of income, car payments that consume significant percentages, or debt minimums that have grown beyond sustainability. All of it is visible in this one category. The budget does not create the problem, it reveals it. And revealed problems can be solved. Category 2. Giving. 10% your tithe and generosity. Given freely, decided in advance, from a position of intentionality and genuine cheerfulness, not from guilt, not from compulsion. Given because you have decided in your heart to give this amount, which is exactly what 2 Corinthians 9:7 describes as the kind of giving God loves. For households carrying high-interest consumer debt, this percentage may be temporarily lower during the debt elimination season, as we discussed in detail in video 11. Once the debt is eliminated and the household is provisioned, this category expands to its full expression. Category 3. Debt elimination, 20%. Every dollar above the minimum payments on your consumer debt, directed to the highest interest balance first until it is gone, then to the next highest, and so on. This category actively shrinks over time as each debt is eliminated. When it reaches zero, because you are completely consumer debt-free, every dollar that was in this category graduates to categories 4 and 5, dramatically accelerating your wealth building. Category 4. Building. 10% emergency fund contributions until the fund is fully funded. 3 to 6 months of household expenses in a separate high-yield savings account. Then retirement contributions, Roth IRA to the annual limit, employer retirement plan to capture the full match, additional index fund investing beyond that. This is the parable of the talents made operational in your monthly budget, the talent being deliberately put to work rather than buried. Category 5. Living. 10% discretionary spending. Personal allowances for each partner. The coffee, the dinner out, the book, the experience. Guilt-free, no accountability required. This category exists because sustainable budgets must include genuine enjoyment, and genuine enjoyment requires a designated guilt-free space where no justification is needed. The personal allowances within this category are not luxury. They are the mechanism that makes the discipline in categories 1 through 4 sustainable over the years it takes to eliminate debt and build wealth. Without them, the budget becomes a prison. With them, it becomes a framework within which genuine freedom lives. The total, 100%. Every dollar assigned, every dollar intentional, every category serving a biblical purpose. The framework is complete. Now let me show you exactly how to build yours this week, with a specific sequence, specific tools, and the one step most people skip. 4 steps. This week, the 5th budget, the one that lasts. Step 1. Get the real numbers first. Pull up 3 months of bank statements and 3 months of credit card statements. For each month, add up the actual spending in each category, not what you planned, what you actually spent. This step takes approximately 1 hour. The numbers will not match what you thought they were. Do it anyway. The budget built on real numbers works. The budget built on comfortable approximations fails within weeks. Step 2. Assign every dollar across the 5 categories. Take your monthly take-home income and divide it across the 5 categories. Start with provision, because those numbers are largely fixed. Then giving, then debt elimination, then building, then living. Whatever remains, divide it equally between both partners as personal allowances. If the numbers do not balance cleanly, if provision is consuming 65% and nothing is left for building, that is the most important information your budget has ever given you. The budget revealed the problem. Now you can address it. Step 3. Set up the automatics. Whatever goes into categories 2, 3, and 4 should be automated immediately. Set up automatic transfers on payday so that giving, debt elimination, and building happen without requiring a decision each month. The decision was made when you built the budget. The automation executes it. This removes willpower from the equation, which is critical because willpower is finite and budgets operate across years. Step 4. Schedule the monthly budget meeting. The Faithful Builder budget is not a document you set and forget. It is a living tool reviewed monthly, adjusted for the previous month's reality and aligned with the upcoming month's known irregular expenses. 15 minutes on the 1st of every month, both partners present. Looking at the same numbers, building toward the same goals. Close with a brief prayer, acknowledging that you are stewards of what God provided and that the budget is your monthly act of intentional stewardship. The Carter family's 5th budget, built this week, 3 specific timelines. Tonight, pull 3 months of bank and credit card statements. Spend 1 hour finding the real numbers in every spending category. Housing, food, transport, utilities, entertainment, personal spending, debt minimums, everything. Write the actual numbers down. Do not adjust them. Do not estimate. Find the real numbers. This is the act of counting the cost that Jesus described in Luke 14:28. Do it tonight. This weekend, sit down together, both partners, with the real numbers and the 5-category framework. Assign every dollar of monthly take-home income. Calculate your personal allowance amounts. Set up the automatic transfers for categories 2, 3, and 4 so they execute on payday without requiring a weekly decision. Build the sinking fund categories for predictable irregular expenses, car maintenance, holiday spending, school fees. Schedule the first monthly budget meeting on the 1st of next month in both calendars. 1st of next month. The first budget meeting. Review what happened in the previous month versus what was planned. Adjust any category that proved unrealistic. Identify any irregular expenses arriving in the coming month and plan for them now. Review progress on debt elimination and the emergency fund. Celebrate any milestone, even a small one, and close with prayer, acknowledging the stewardship you are practicing and the building you are doing together. The one thing the Carters needed: a budget built on real numbers with a biblical framework, personal allowances for each partner, a sinking fund for irregular expenses, automated contributions for giving and building, and a monthly review habit that keeps it alive. Not discipline alone, design. The right design, maintained with modest consistency, produces the financial life that motivation alone never could. David and Naomi Carter have tried 4 budgets. They have a tab open somewhere with the last one, half filled, category totals that do not add up, quietly abandoned sometime around Valentine's Day. They did not fail those budgets. Those budgets failed them, built on ideal numbers rather than real ones, built with no room for imperfect months, built with no personal autonomy for either partner, built without a framework that gave the daily discipline a purpose deeper than financial motivation. The 5th budget is different, not because David became more methodical or Naomi became more motivated, Because the design changed. Because the 4 causes of failure have been addressed before the first month begins. Because every dollar has a category and every category has a purpose, and every purpose is grounded in something more durable than discipline. Know well the condition of your flocks, and give attention to your herds. Proverbs 27:23. The budget is how you know the condition of your flocks. It is not punishment. It is not restriction. It is the act of a faithful steward who pays careful attention to what God entrusted to them, every month, every dollar, with the intentionality that transforms an ordinary income into a building tool. If you have the tab open somewhere from the last budget you started, close it. It was built incorrectly. Start the right one this weekend. 5 categories: real numbers, personal allowances, monthly review, biblical framework. Drop a comment and tell me, how many budgets have you started and quit? What caused it to fail? I want to know, and every answer shapes what I cover next. Count the cost. The financial life you want is on the other side of the budget that lasts.